Norman was an only child. He was born in the mean streets of Manchester just after the Great Depression. Robert, his father, managed a pawnbroker's shop. His mother Lily became a waitress.
My voice had changed when my father died. My father was a tenor, and somehow, you know, there was some gift in passing, and I just found a new voice almost. And I was asking him about his father and what he got from his father. And Norman said, well, both from his father and his mother, just work ethic. They worked and they worked and they worked. And then he said the only thing was that he, perhaps as a result of them working so hard, he hadn't got to know them as well as he would have liked.
This is a very important room, isn't it? This is where you...
Yes, and when I was at university, I had a drawing board here, and this is where I did most of my student work.
One of the things that he did for the portfolio to get to university was to draw the view from his bedroom window. The view he had was of a railway line which went right past his window at eye level, and he would have been out there looking at these big black steam engines rushing past, throwing out smoke and under the track, there's a passageway that goes from Norman Street, which is humble and poor. You can smell the damp. But you go through this tunnel, under the railway, and you find yourself suddenly in a middle-class suburb, with trees on the streets and detached villas. And you realise, of course, that Norman was on the wrong side of the tracks.
I came from a background where the only honourable work, if you like, was manual work. I'd moved up into a sort of a middle-class world of a guaranteed pension, all the security that my parents never had and which they yearned for me. So I was working in Manchester Town Hall. I found it totally depressing. I mean, I'd escape at lunchtime. I would discover architecture. I didn't know I was actually discovering architecture. It was only afterwards I realized it. I'd be looking at buildings. My escape route was a bicycle to get me out of that environment into other kinds of worlds.
When he came out of the Air Force, he was lucky enough to be recommended to do a job working in a firm of architects, not as a designer, but as an assistant to the guy that ran the building contracts.
I plucked up courage to talk to the most junior person in the drawing office. And I remember challenging this guy and saying, what do you think of Frank Lloyd Wright? And Frank Lloyd Wright was one of my passions through the local library of, like Le Corbusier and so on. So I then started to engage individuals in conversation. How do you become an architect? What do you have to do? Well, you have to have a portfolio. How do you get a portfolio? Well, I don't know. I mean, it's drawings. So I'd be drawing out of the bedroom window. I'd be taking drawings home from Beardshaws, copying them in the evening. And then I thought I had to tell the boss. So I knocked on the door of John Beardshaw. I said, I just have to tell you I'm going to apply to be an architect.